Hey guys, this is Josh from Grapplezilla, and this is Grapplezilla Podcast. And today I am lucky to have an amazing guy, a good friend of mine, Roy Newman from Pitbull BJJ in Tel Aviv, Israel. Roy is an absolutely great jiu-jitero. He's a competitor. He runs a successful school, has an amazing martial arts background that is one of the most diverse and interesting martial arts backgrounds that I've ever heard of. And today we're going to get to know Roy and his story and his thoughts. So let's go. Roy, good to have you on. How you doing?
Good to be here. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic, man. Thank you very much. So Roy, a lot of people, you have one of the most interesting martial arts backgrounds I've ever seen. I mean, you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu, you have high-level grappling skills, but you also have a lot of experience that you went to, if I'm correct or not, China to before your jiu-jitsu to study at the Shaolin Temple as well as Wushu, not Wushu, Shuai Jiao. So let me know about your background. So how did you start?
So I stay in the army for extra time. In Israel, we do mandatory. It used to be 3 years in the army, so I stay an extra year and a half. That for American it's nothing, but in Israel it's like dog years, so it's like double it. And I had, like, for a young guy, enough money to play with it. And so it was either go to wall climbing, I was into that, or either do martial arts. And I didn't know what grappling is, and back then they brought a lot of Jackie Chan movies, and there was like the Shaolin monks did like a show in Israel, so I said, wow, it's also look very philosophical, not only punching and kicking, I want to do that. So I bought a ticket, I went to China. You want the long version or the short version?
Go for it. Go for it. The long. I love these stories. I love it.
So I got to China and I thought, no problem, I will get out of the plane, and with my broken English I could find the hotel and the way. I had, back then it was in 2000, so I had the website and I had a phone call with the guy in China from Israel. So you are not exactly sure if it's true or it's a scam, but you went for it. So I go to China, I get to the hotel, and then and then I need to buy a train ticket. The train from Beijing to the place I needed to go, it's 10 hours. So I go to the first post in the train. I ask them, no English, no English. I go maybe 20 booths, of the like selling ticket. Nobody know where the fuck I need to go to. So I took out a map, English Chinese map. I need to go here. Anyway, the place that I started, the first booth, it was the place that sold me the ticket. I buy the ticket. 10 hours of train. People come to see me, lawai, mean like a white guy. They never saw a white guy. A father bring his child to touch my forearm, so he will see that I've got hairy forearm. Anyway, we get into the place, it's like 4 in the morning, raining, and the translator of the school, that his American name was Jason, he's coming to me, hello, you come from martial arts school, get out of my sight, I don't want to see you, I don't know who you are, no, you come with me, no, I don't come with you. In the end, I understood that I need to go with him. We go with a taxi, it's raining, and it's like lightning and thunder and all those things you can think about. So we drive, it's like a castle surrounded by a lake, and we go uphill. And it's raining, and the car, it cannot go really uphill because it's a Chinese car. Now I'm sure that they have great car, but in 2000, it wasn't exactly the top of the art. So suddenly I see the handbrakes and 2 guys coming out of the car. So, and I was that tired, so I didn't even care about that. But I look at the mirrors and I see that they come back with two huge rocks in their hands. So what is going on over here? So what they did with the rock, they put it behind the wheel and they gave like a jump. And again, like every 10 meter, they took out the rocks, boom, jump until we get into the castle. That was the first day. And then over there, in China, they train like a lot of hours. So you come in when it's first light, and you start training a lot of stretches and stuff. So it's cool. You do weapons and the Chinese martial art, whatever. It's Shaolin, Wudang, whatever you want to do, soft and hard. I'm not gonna get into it. But then the most practical thing over there was something called Sanda, or sometimes they call it Sanshu. It's what Kong Lee was doing it.
Sanda.
He was doing it.
Sanda.
Yeah. He was doing it when I started over there. Back then, like especially in China, you didn't have YouTube, so you can see in magazine, this guy is Vietnamese American, blah 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 blah. After that, I was able to see.
Just
What?
clarifying, he was practicing it. He wasn't at the
Yes.
Shaolin.
No,
Okay.
he wasn't there. Yeah,
Okay.
but he was the top guy. And until today, when you see him like in his peak, because when he was fighting the UFC, he was much older. When he did Sanda, he was like amazing athlete, So what they do basically, it's like a martial art that it's combining kickboxing with taking down. You don't have the continuation like MMA, but it gives you a lot of timing, like to be able to take down people on your punches and kicking, and his kicking and punches. Because a lot of people that do like grappling arts, when they do the transition, it's very hard for them suddenly to find themselves with the punches, So Sanda, I think it's a really good base to go to MMA
agree.
if you do it right. In China, they had a problem at that time. They did a lot of like catching kicks and stuff, but when we trained, we didn't have mattresses. So the training is limited. You cannot do everything. They think it's make you stronger, because the ways that they think it's more traditional, The second you make things like competitive, you see exactly how practical your training is, So that was the thing that was a bit missing over there. Because the training were okay, they were hard. In some area they were like a bit behind, in some area they were good. So, and everything that you do, it depends how you look at it. You can take the good in everything. Nothing is perfect,
Absolutely.
So basically, I spent there 1 year, and then I saw, by the way, a Canadian guy showed me a book, Ken Shamrock book, Inside the
remember the
Lion
book.
Den.
Yes, I read it.
What is that? Yeah. So I think first of all, I think Ken, whatever he do is very charismatic, and the book is very appealing to someone that, willing to martial art. I didn't know Royce Gracie back then, So he was like, he said that like, if you go, you can do a tryout for the Lion Den and he sponsor you for 2 years, you give percentage of the fight. So wow, that looked amazing, Because in Israel, like for the best unit, you do a tryout, you pass that, and you go, wow, it's really like interesting. So I go there, Ken is already fighting for the WWE. He didn't pay his taxes, so they did a disclosure on his place, I saw him one time, and then I met my teacher on the beach. He was putting flyer. Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock lost for a small guy, Royce Gracie. Who is Royce Gracie? You don't know Royce Gracie? He beat Ken Shamrock. He beat Ken Shamrock. Look how Ken Shamrock look like. Yeah, he beat him. Come and do jiu-jitsu. So I do jiu-jitsu with this guy that was like, I was lucky, you know, because before that I met another Brazilian guy that we were roommates. He's another amazing black belt. But back then, my teacher Joao opened a school. Back then in San Diego, like the city, there were like 3 black belts. He was one of them. And he was a young black belt that compete all the time with the top guys. He's like 6-time Pan Am's champion. So he was young and hungry. So for me it was
His
perfect.
name is,
because
if I remember, Joao Cunha, right?
Joao Cunha, yes.
Very cool.
So Joao is, when he loves someone and he loves something, he's obsessive, you know. So he loves jiu-jitsu and he like me, you know. So after 2 hours, you come to my house, you know. My wife gonna cook us dinner, you know. So for us Israeli, it's naturally because we are like that also, you know.
Yeah.
American, they are not exactly like that. From the South, it's a little bit different. They have other qualities. So, like the Brazilian and the Israeli mentality, there's a lot of similarity, you know. That like, you always together, you always do things together, you know. You always help each other, you know. So it was easy to get together, and he gave me everything about jiu-jitsu, you know. So only about him, if I talk, it's another episode, you know. But you ask about China, so
Now, what exactly, like when you felt jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu, the great thing is that it's an art that, because you're dealing with people, you feel it. You actually can feel the effectiveness. What drew you first to jiu-jitsu over other arts? Like what was the thing that said, wow, this is what I want?
So when I got to the Lion Den place, there were many, the guys that was running it had a lot of things inside. And also, I don't know why he liked me. And I told him when I came there, I want to fight. But he saw that, you know, he knew what he's doing. He was fighting in the UFC one time. Told me, okay, you are great. You're a nice guy. You kind of know how to kick, but you know, you don't know how to grapple. You didn't do grappling, and you know, back then, if you didn't do grappling, you were dead. So he told me, you have to learn grappling and stuff. But you know, he liked me, so he told me, don't worry, I will pair you up with someone. So there was a guy that was a SEAL. He was training and he had his team. Uh, his name was Kevin, and now I got a blackout for his last name. And he had the bad boy team USA. And I don't know how, I trained with him. He had a really talented guy named Kenneth Alexander. He was a Marine Recon. And he told me, okay, I'll put you to fight. So I trained for a month or two. And then like we go to Rage in the Cage. And back then in Rage in the Cage, you had to, if you are not the main event, they do the pairing of the fights on the spot. You know, one guy say, hey, I got this guy, he don't have experience, I have this, the other guy, he weighed like this, he weighed like that. Okay, so I go first time, and there's nobody that suit for me. So I go back to San Diego, and then Joao, my coach, he told me, you don't know jiu-jitsu, you fucking crazy? You're gonna go to fight, you're gonna kick your ass. So you come, you train with me. So every day, 2 times a day, you know, he helped me, you know. And we didn't do jiu-jitsu, we did MMA. That means that, you know, I punch and kick and then take me down. And, you know, all the position from the bottom with punches and stuff. And Joao he had amazing cardio, you know, and when he want to push, he push. So I go there, you know, sometimes not to know it's the best, because you are so stupid, you should that you are the best. Every day that I was training jiu-jitsu, because I didn't know what his grappling is, I thought, today Joao got lucky, I had a bad day, until like, a few weeks pass and you understand that you are not even close, but you are so dumb and young. So sometimes not knowing that you don't know, it gives you so much courage. So I go to the ring, second time I go to rage in the cage. They pair me with a Japanese guy, and the cage is like 9 feet on 9 feet, like 3 meters on 3 meters, something like that. So it's like constant like fighting, and like I don't know how, but I took the guy down, I rolled him over, I mounted him, I like the fight, I let him go up, punching, he kicked my head, I take him down again, blah blah blah, everything, and I won a unanimous decision by because I really love the fight, but I didn't know what I'm doing, so that was my first. I started jiu-jitsu for MMA. I thought like, okay, I do it for a few months, and then when you start doing it, you fall in love in it because it's cool, it's not like punching and kicking. It's got so much more. And then back then, Joao put me to watch all those videotape, VHS, they had all the Mundial, the World Championship, and they edited all the sweeps, the takedowns, and the submission with all rap song like Ice Cube and Jay-Z. When you see the same armbar, like Jacare armbar, someone like 10,000 times, you remember those?
Yeah, for sure.
So it was the time of Jacare was breaking out. It was like Margarita and Saulo before him.
My favorite era.
Terere, of course, and Nino Chambry,
Oh, yeah.
Leo Vieira, and the generation after was Sandy and Roger. So it was the time that everything exploded because they brought the big competition to the US, the Pan Ams and the world. Before that, you had to go to Brazil, and it was something else. Like it was a different planet to train in Brazil back then, knowledge-wise, and to train in the US. Not only gi, also without the gi. And you can see it. You can see the winner in the ADCC back then, So I remember when Dean, he's from San Diego, so I remember the first time he won, it was a big thing.
Dean Lidster, yeah?
Yeah.
Here's a question. Were you only in San Diego, or did you have any experiences anywhere else in the U.S.?
So I was like I used to work as a mover, and I work in the academy a little bit when Joao needed me. But money-wise, in San Diego, it was very hard, like when it was not the summer. So I moved to Seattle. And
nice
over there, because I had a friend in Seattle, over there I was training in a small gym, like it's an MMA gym.
Mm-hmm.
But the amazing thing over there is that even the small gym, so amazing, imagine, it's a small gym, let's say on the mat you have like 30 guys that train, so 10 of them have already 10 professional fights, 2 ADCC veteran. I met Mario Miranda is a friend of mine.
Hardcore guy.
He's a high-level wrestler, fought also in ADCC, UFC, M1 champion. So I met him on the ring. He threw me suplex on the first day.
Suplex, yeah?
Yeah. He like we rolled for half an hour, and like I couldn't take him down or sweep him, and he couldn't pass my guard and stuff. So we both got pissed off, and it was turtle position. He's a high guy. He took me, boom.
Tall
know?
guy, yeah. He's a very,
Yes.
very, for those who don't know, Murray Miranda is an absolute monster of a wrestler. And his wrestling, which is interesting, is very fine-tuned also for MMA. So check him out. Top level guy. So you were with Miranda, and how long did
Yes.
you guys train together?
I think something like 6 months or something. All the times that I was in Seattle, you know, and the weekend he used to take me, we, we used to go and party. And he was like, we used to go like and compete also grappling. So we went to Vegas one day to compete. So I brought him also to California to do like the jiu-jitsu competitions. So we've been there. We've been together only 6 months, but every day, every time, all day, you know. So, you know, it
Now,
was
Roy,
intense.
I got a question, and just referring back to China, just out of curiosity, because I am a grappling geek as it is. Did you ever have any experience with Shuai Jiao? Like, did you see any matches or have any experience with it there?
I saw it only in TV back then, but no. I think they were speaking about like also about like Mongolian grappling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
Boch.
the more, yeah, the grappling that they had is more like
Jacket wrestling, no?
no, it was like
China?
combination of like yeah it looked like more like Japanese jiu-jitsu and a few things like aikido, like small
Joint
joint
manipulation.
maneuver. Yes, and a lot of leg trips because in the if you cut it roughly for Chinese martial art to Shaolin and Wudan, like internal martial art, what you call soft martial art, and hard one. So like in Tai Chi, Baji, Shengi, Bagua, they have a bit of grappling, but it's not the grappling that you think about it, you know. They catch the arm, they trip you with the leg. It's not like judo or wrestling or stuff like that. That I rarely saw, you know.
Now, when
But
you so back to Washington. So you were in Washington. What happened after Washington, and how did you get back to Israel? Like you came back, you have a successful school. What's the journey on there?
so I want I never wanted to stay there in the US, and I say okay, I will do something in the world like a world championship, get a podium or something.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom had some kind of a lung problems that it
Sorry.
was like it took her like 12 years to get rid of it by dying.
Sorry to hear.
So she got like she faint in Italy somewhere. So I took the plane and came back home and stayed. But my plan was never to stay there for a long time. But the thing is, when you're young, you think that okay, every year I do World Pan Ams, you know. So I go to Israel, I come back, I do it again. But it's not working like that, you know. Life are like in the middle, and you need to work, you need to have money
Absolutely.
because you are not American, you know. For me, the INS didn't let me in, like in the last time I was there, so I couldn't go to the US anymore, so I couldn't compete there anymore. And that's something that people that live in the US sometimes they don't understand how lucky they are, because there are a lot of people today also in Europe but also in Brazil that are really good but they cannot get a visa. So
Yeah.
training wise also the best guys are in the US, the best competition are in the US. So it's harder if you are not living there.
And then so
Uh,
you came back to Israel.
Yeah.
And what was the process? Because I'm sure that starting a jiu-jitsu school is never easy, especially when you're in another country, especially when in a country that doesn't have a lot of jiu-jitsu. And how did that go? What was your experience with this?
It's not only jiu-jitsu. It's I didn't live here like all my 20s, so for 10 years I wasn't here. So all my old friends, you try to stay in contact with them in the first 2 years, three years, maybe like with two of them for 10 years. So you get here and you need to start all over again in all areas. And with the jiu-jitsu, they have already a few clubs over here. And of course, you start something new. People, you become a competitor of like, back then it was much more, how do you say it?
Raw?
Today you have much more club. Back then, like you had maybe like 3 or 4 big clubs, what you call. So they didn't like someone new come. And back then also belt-wise, if you were over a purple belt, it was like amazing. And it was a threat, Although it's a bullshit, we know it's bullshit,
Yeah.
So naturally people don't really want to help you. But I met a few guys, start a small group. And I open in like every place I could open, I open a gym. Open a gym. Tel Aviv, Herzliya, Rishon, Bat Yam, So in every place, a little bit. 2 times a week over there, 2 times a week over there. Work security at night. That's it, Start making a team to help you stay in shape, because you cannot, the thing with grappling art, it's not like Karate Kid that I can train by myself on the beach. You have to have a partner. Yeah. And then I went to do wrestling. I met Hanoch when he was 16. Back then it was fun because it was easy to take him down. He was only 16. You can catch him and pull him down. And judo-wise, I met a few guys that helped me a lot. And then years after, like when we had already the team, I had a lot of guys that were like in the local scene were good, so I could train with them.
Just for the audience, basically Roy came and he started training with a guy named Hanoch Rechamin, who ended up becoming one of Israel's best wrestlers, internationally known. And Roy himself's a very good wrestler as well, just so people understand who Hanoch is and the level you were going at. So, go ahead.
Was. Now I'm broken. and Felix. Felix came later, but Felix is
the guy's a
for
beast.
me. Yes. First of all, he's always in shape.
Yeah.
Second, is one of the only good wrestler, because Felix came from Greco-Roman.
Yeah.
So for him to train like freestyle, he needed to learn to understand the system. He also did a bit of judo, but he really don't like the gi. But he's one of the only top wrestlers that, I roll with is in Israel, not in the world, in Israel, that really wanted to know jiu-jitsu. And we used to train every day, in the morning. In 3 years, he was, for me, I don't say, about other, he was amazing, all the times that I was competing in Europe, and stuff, he was my main training, after that, Daniel, that Modevincev, he got like older and stronger and 120 kilo and, very flexible, so, Yeah.
Yeah.
But back then I was very close to 40 something, so it was already, too late.
And also, if I remember correctly, you were so guys. Roy was competing internationally, but being 40 and a warrior and a stubborn warrior, he wasn't competing in the masters. He was still competing in the adults. How did you find that division?
Until 40, it was okay. Like, of course, I needed to modify a lot of things because the thing is, when you're young, especially the ways that we train there, and when I'm saying there, like when I train in Brazil, because I moved, when I was a purple belt, I moved for 1 year in Brazil, okay, to the teacher of my teacher academy. His nickname is Bita, and he had a school in Teresopolis. We'll talk about it later.
Beta's
So
hardcore.
So when we train there, it's like you train like almost until you cannot move. You just do round after round after round, especially for MMA, but also in jiu-jitsu, So you push, and then you can do it when you're 20. When you are 40 and you are teaching, you have to modify your training to be much more efficient.
Opa, who's this one? Was that a Malinois? Beautiful dog.
Yes?
Beautiful dog. Attack!
Yeah.
No, just joking. And for those who are listening and not watching, he has an amazing Malinois there. And I said it's a joke attack, but there's no way that Malinois is going to... Wow, that's a beauty. That's a beauty. So, Roy, here's a question. So you've been doing jiu-jitsu. You're a very well-trained black belt. I think you're second degree or third degree. I can't remember.
I'm a third degree. I'm like black belt already for 16 years.
So 16 years. You have MMA experience. Yes. You have military experience, etc. One of the things that's really spoken about now in the grappling world is for especially the older guys like us, the state of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Because in one way, you have an amazing growth. It's really grown. It's very popular. It's very specialized. What are your opinion in the state of Jiu-Jitsu now compared to how it was back in the day in terms of no-gi, gi, MMA? Is Jiu-Jitsu getting better itself for effectiveness? Or is it getting worse for effectiveness compared to the old days? Like, what's your opinion, your thoughts? Tough question.
I will tell you that, no. Everything that is specialized, it's become more efficient toward its goal. What do I mean? If you train jiu-jitsu now for competitive jiu-jitsu and you want to be the best in competitive jiu-jitsu, never mind gi or no gi. Let's take the gi for example. You have to put your effort in that field. That means that you are going to neglect the other field. Let's compare it because I used to live with one of the best Israeli triathletes, and he told me that MMA now it's what triathlon was. I asked him, what do you mean? And he told me, in the beginning, to be good triathlete, you have to train with runners, swimmers, and
cyclists.
Bike. Yeah, so now I can train triathlon. We have our system, and that's it. So if you want to do only one of them, you have to, do one of them. Even if you are like MMA guy, take now Mighty Mouse. He's doing only jiu-jitsu, so you train jiu-jitsu. You don't train MMA. Even if you will do it for a period of 6 months because you got a competition. Okay? So, unless, you are like, if you take the old guys that did everything together, but back then it wasn't that professional, if you take a guy like Mika Galvao or the Rutolo brothers, they started when they were very, very young, gi and no gi. So for them to do each one of them, it's not a problem because they are very, I never compete like at the same times that they were, but I bet every competition they do all the categories. They do gi, no gi, and open division. So they are, for them to do the modification, it's not a problem, They are in shape. The thing is, today, even it doesn't seem like that, everything is much more professional, The training is much more professional, the athlete eat better, they know more. Back then, knowledge-wise, I told you, I had to go to Rio to see how a certain guy do a certain sweep. Today you go to YouTube, you press sweep from half guard this way and that way and give you everything. So everything is much more professional. Like the only thing is the desire of the athlete, how much you want to know, how much you want to train, but today everything is there. So I think that like for self-defense, it's very like if you're a top athlete, to modify it to like the jiu-jitsu for MMA, it's nothing, like it's like ask yourself, like take a crazy athlete like Chamizo or Jordan Burroughs.
Yeah.
Teach them in 5 seconds whatever you want, MMA, Krav Maga, let them do that against a regular guy, see what happens. Those are the top athletes in the world, It's like, there is no comparison.
Yeah. Yeah. And in your school, I know that from what I follow you on Instagram as well, and it's great. What is your school about in terms of jiu-jitsu? Of course, what do you teach your students? Like which is the angle or angles that you go with your students for?
Okay, so when I train jiu-jitsu, I think about it. First of all, I don't cut it too much between competitive jiu-jitsu to martial to self-defense. So I will teach them takedown in every clutch. Takedown and then like sweep or like submission, whatever like syllabus we're working at that same month or 2 weeks. But it always will have like something connected always also for takedowns, because takedowns are very important, Even if you are not going to use them, you have to be aware about them. You cannot lay on the ground and play jiu-jitsu. You get to the ground either by putting the guy on the ground or sliding or taking down or punch, but you are not sitting and pulling the guy to the guard in real life, If someone wants to try it and he got a really good guard, good luck to him, he knows things that I don't know. But I recommend, like, if you don't have the skill of, like, I don't know, all guys like Roleta or like, I don't know who got the best guard in the world right now, I recommend you to try to take down the guy and to know something about punching and kicking. It's very important. So I try to do like a class that have that, and also to give them like a knowledge about competitive jiu-jitsu, and also how to make their body ready to fight, because especially in jiu-jitsu, because it's so popular now, people come and they are 40 years old, they never did any sport in their life, and you need to start teaching them jiu-jitsu, okay? And in that class, you also have a guy that is 30 years old and is amazing shape, and you got a 24 years old that want to kill everybody. So when you have that, it becomes a recreational sport. It's not already a professional. So, I cut it to beginner and advanced and guys that want to compete, because you cannot give everybody everything in one group. And also it's a recipe for disaster. People are going to get injured, and so I try to make them like understand like what's efficient and what's not efficient, and open their mind. Sometimes you are successful, sometimes you are not, but that's what I try to do. Also takedowns, people like I cut it to 3. So takedowns no gi, takedowns gi, and takedown for MMA. Because takedown for MMA, it's different.
For sure.
You can have amazing wrestlers that they don't figure how to do it with punches, take down the guy on your punches, his punches and stuff, the rhythm, the combination and stuff. It's also things that you have to learn and experience, and if they throw you right away to that, it's gonna be harder. So, for example, me, like takedowns with the judo takedowns, it's not the field that I have the best experience with, because I work different with the gi and without the gi. But I have many guys that, I learn from. I have guys that started with me jiu-jitsu and now they are in the national team in judo. But to be real, if you start some kind of system in my age, you are not going to be good as someone that started it as a kid. So, okay, I know the idea, but I don't have like in jiu-jitsu or MMA the experience doing it for 20 years, so it's completely different.
It's interesting because a lot of the guys don't have that viewpoint, and I think your viewpoint on especially takedowns, the importance that it needs to be taught with jiu-jitsu, because if you don't have it, your jiu-jitsu can be in a position that you can't use it should you need it. But also the MMA takedowns, that's a huge one. And I'm speaking from experience myself because I wrestled. I remember I've been in a fight in several, and I thought it was a hot shot wrestler, and then next thing you have a knee to the face, or an elbow to the back of the head. It's completely different, right? And it's a very big wake-up call. And yourself having a lot of MMA fights, and you do have very good takedowns. Guys, I've wrestled with Roy, and he's a legitimate wrestler, especially his low single. So, it's a very good thing. It's a very good thing that you're teaching. A lot of the jiu-jitsu schools, especially with older guys who don't have an athletic background or martial arts background, I'm finding that they do much less takedowns because a lot of people are afraid of the actual impact of taking down. But I've noticed on your Instagram that you teach it very well, which is you take, from what I saw, you do it in you build it up. So, okay, guys, let's go slow. Let's build a little stronger. And I think this is a very good system. I also noticed you often in the years have had a lot of visitors to your gym, like top guys. Like how did you, from what I noticed, you're almost like a not a bus station, I would say, but like an airport. Like you always have people coming, like if they do jiu-jitsu and they're good jiu-jitero, your door's always been open to them while they've been in Tel Aviv, right? You've had like some top East European guys. I remember you had this monster. I forgot his name, but I mean, you were saying he's just, listen, another level. So what's your thing on there? Because a lot of schools don't have that, and you do. So tell me about it.
It's mostly the location. So people just come, and the guys that you talk about is it's Dennis. He's from Lithuania. He's a monster. He's like this comics character from X-Men, Beast, because he's also a professor for chemistry.
Oh, I love it.
And he was a top level sambo guy and judo guy. And when he came to Israel, first time when I met him with Felix, he was in shape, more or less. He was 140 kilo, that can move really fast. And when I'm saying 140 kilo, like he's doing bench press like with 170 kilo, like 4 sets of 10. So that means that when you catch him for armbar, when you're on top, yes, on the top position, your legs, your feet are not close to touching the ground. That means when you pull the arm, you cannot apply pressure because your hip is very high. So it's like, the amazing thing with him is that he's very extremely intelligent guy, and he have like, for a guy that size, a crazy ability to control his body and his movement. So like the first time he showed up, I was very worried about him like smashing someone, but he rolls so soft. It was really nice to see.
Good training
And
partner.
then, yes. And then after that, we went together to a seminar with, now I got a blackout, in Cyprus with two-time ADCC champion,
JT Torres?
JT Torres.
Yeah.
We went to a JT Torres seminar together that my friend Andreas from Cyprus made. Andreas also, he came to Israel a few times. I went to Cyprus. He's another nice guy.
From Nicosia, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah, he's from Nicosia. He got, I think, the biggest club in both sides of Cyprus. Also, very intelligent guy. Good jiu-jitsu. He started the judo. And then, like one day, one guy came. He's a Lloyd Irving student from Russia. And then he came, he trained, and I let him train. He told me, Roy, I have to give you something, so I will make a seminar. So we did a 3-hour seminar, and was very nice. And then another guy showed up, he's working for the embassy. He was a high-level jiu-jitsu guy, also trained with what's his name, Ryan Hall from Virginia, and stay with us for a few years. So you got all over guys comes and go. Also the guys in the gym, sometimes you got the guys that are really high level and they leave, and then you got like guys that are more blue belt level. So it's up and down, but overall it's the spirit of the gym what's important.
Now you've seen a lot of jiu-jitsu, and just like every jiu-jitero, especially old school jiu-jiteros, who are some of your favorite jiu-jiteros that may have had not just favorite, but had an influence on how you look at jiu-jitsu and your game itself?
The ones that I train with, or like who I think like all time?
Not who you think the best is, but maybe you could have trained them. Maybe you were just always watching their videos, because back then it was much harder to get to people. Who are the ones who you said, that's the game I want? That's, who influenced you?
The guys, okay, and I also met him as a coach after, okay?
Yeah.
That people today, like, they really don't speak about him. They know who he is because he got still a top level team. Like if you take Leo Vieira, because I also saw him perform as a coach, and how much he care about like his students in his gym. I don't know, like about like all over the world checkmate. And for me, he's an amazing guy. Also the way that if you saw him teach his system, and also he created a lot of other guys. Like you can say that like also Terre have a part of Leo Vieira, and also Jacare, and so also Andrea Galvao, so it's a lot of influence of a young guy. Think about that. Leo Vieira is my age, more or less, but he was like a top level guy already, like a black belt, when he was 18. And he fought back then with people like Leo Santos and Royler Gracie. Back then, nobody beat Royler Gracie, before Eddie Bravo. And
then Leo smashed it. I'm not being rude to Eddie Bravo, but Leo smashed Eddie Bravo after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so him, I really liked Margarita with the gi.
Oh, yeah.
For me, Jacare and Terere, are
Absolutely.
like amazing. For me, if probably when I see one of those guys, Terere I met and I spoke with him, but like if I meet Leo Vieira and Jacare, I probably cannot speak. And I prefer not to speak to them, because in your head you have those kinds of hero that you want them to be perfect. So I don't want to mess with my the idea how they are,
Yeah.
But I will give you example about Jacare. What's so special about Jacare for me, okay? And of course Marcelo Garcia and all those guys. But Jacare for me is special for one reason, a lot of people do statistic. This guy won 10 times, 5 times, I don't really care about that, because if you are consistent and you're lucky and you fight in a certain way, but if you take Jacare, nobody can move like him until today, nobody, to do his takedown, his explosive motion, all those things, gi, no gi, control from the top. Also, people don't understand, he was so fast, so he didn't stay on the bottom, but he can sweep very well. It's like Marcelo, I like him because he's so well-rounded. He can play on the bottom, can play on the top, submit, pass, sweep, change the game. People that watch the game today, they don't understand. If you watch ADCC by years, until Marcelo came, whenever you have a guy that fought a wrestler, so let's say they start butterfly half guard, you do the sweep, you cannot do the sweep, the guy stand up, that's it. Now you need to wrestle with him. Watch all Jean-Jacques fights when he fights someone that got good wrestlers. And then Marcelo come, he create the X guard, the single leg X, a way to control your opponent from the bottom, change the game. And then after that come the evolution of the De La Riva. You can do birambolos, you can control the opponent from the bottom, then you switch for leg locks. So, you see all the evolution. But the important thing is to remember who are the guys that connected everything. Because people today, they don't remember. And I see also in jiu-jitsu and any sport, I guess, matter of fashions. So a lot of techniques that they do today, take the long step, okay? Long step, what Thailand Alpa doing now. So Terere do it, you can argue good or worse. Already in the 90s, it looked to me did it great, but so there are some things that people forget and they disappear and they come back, and there are some things that are new. But if you watch those tapes from the beginning of the 2000 and the beginning of the 90s, you can see that some guys are like not in shape like the guys are now, but you can see sometimes amazing technique. If you look about a guy like Robson Mora, he do amazing stuff.
Ooh, yeah.
You can watch Terere, all those guys, sometimes they were ahead of their time, and sometimes because they had like a lot of mismatches, they can do, things that are out of this world. Although Jacare could do those things, Terere could do those things also on Roger and Fabricio Verdum. They were like 30 kilo more than him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a matter of like open your eyes and watch. And sometimes when you got so much knowledge in front of you, what we talked before, you don't have really the reason to look back. and look for those things, unless you have like creative or criminal minds that you want to see more, a bit of curiosity and a bit of an edge to make something that people are not doing. Because you go for a big academy, I don't want to say names, but people have a tendency to go to the best academy, have the best guys, blah, 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 because now it's very popular. So you learn how to train in a certain routine and a certain thing, certain way that everybody do. So you cannot surprise your opponent. I know how to do Birambolo. I'm not going to catch Paolo Miao in Birambolo, or Cashinho, because those are the guys that pioneer it. So they know it better than me. So I need to go another way to beat them, So I need to go old school or whatever.
It's interesting, you bring up a very, very interesting topic there. I was discussing this with another guy about how everyone has new moves now, but all those moves you can usually find in old school rolling sessions, etc., and guys doing them. And I think what the difference is that the more time jiu-jitsu evolves, the more these moves get a systematic approach based upon having so many people doing it. So, for example, when Marcelo did the X-Guard, it was pretty much him doing it. I'm sure other people might have done it. But now you have tens of thousands of people doing it, and then they do it against other things, and the systemization, if that's a word, gets very evolved, like you said at the beginning. And then what happens, you get very like a scalpel type of jiu-jitsu, where jiu-jitero against jiu-jitero gets so refined. But once again, at the end of every good meal comes the bill. And the bill here would be the less effectiveness, let's say, towards Vale Tudo when you use these things. But what could be done, in your opinion? I wouldn't say jiu-jitsu is an animal, but what could be done because jiu-jitsu in MMA is a very tricky topic. It's very common that a lot of people say, jiu-jitsu doesn't work anymore, etc. And I think that's nonsense. I think jiu-jitsu works very well. I think it is the art. The issue is that so many people do it that it cancels each other out. So what is the next step for jiu-jitsu once again in order to get that status? I don't know if that's the right thing. I'm trying not to insult jiu-jitsu. It's not an insult to jiu-jitsu. What it is though, with growth comes not a watering down, but a focus. So what can be done for, let's say, a jiu-jitsu fighter to focus into MMA more of their jiu-jitsu? That's what I'm asking. What would you say?
I would say two things. Like when you watch all fights,
old
that
fights,
already
right?
have what? MMA.
Yeah, old ones you're saying, right?
Yes. Like that, there was already like MMA like well-rounded. That means that it's not like Royce Gracie against the one glove guy. So
Art Jimerson, I
Yeah.
remember.
the legend. So
Who died?
yeah, sorry. And he was a good athlete, also, it's knowledge-wise and also his age, so it wasn't like a fair fight for him, skill-wise.
For sure.
Okay? So, anyway, if you take the times like when Randy Couture started fighting, when Pedro Rizzo was already in the ring, they had Rico Rodriguez, Carlos Newton against
Matthews.
So that times there was kind of like already MMA. When you saw the jiu-jitsu back then, it seems to me that the people that did jiu-jitsu, like or grappling, because Carlos Newton, for me, is like a complete grappler.
Me
He
too,
can
yeah.
move from one position to another. He's not like, now I'm doing like takedowns, bam, bam, bam. He can flow from one position to another. And they could do like control the guys from the bottom much better. That means that if Randy Couture take Rico Rodriguez down, he will make him Kimura sweep and go to the top to mount. And then he mount Randy, and Randy is not going to go out of the mount. So today, like also Nogueira, when he couldn't take you down, he put you in the half guard and he sweep you. You know, so this disappeared. So the jiu-jitsu is like, okay, I put in the full guard, I submit, it doesn't work, I need to catch his arm, they will stand me up. And for me, it's also a tool to control your opponent. Okay, so he took me down, now I need to sweep him, go to his back, submit him, everything. I go to the top, you know, go punching again. So this element is missing to me. I think that today when they teach the jiu-jitsu for the MMA, they don't pay attention for that too much. Maybe they work statistics. And also, I don't think like the top level guys in jiu-jitsu work like go to MMA.
Yeah.
And when they go to MMA, they don't make like a good transfer by the coaches. What do I mean? Okay, you are a grappler, okay, like Khabib. Okay, what you need to do? You need to know how to punch, okay, to be able to amplify your grappling skill. I'm not gonna make you now Rob Kaiman, Ramon Decker, and Nestor Hust in 2 or 3 years, okay?
Strikers,
but
yeah.
I make your striking good enough to feel comfortable and to smash the guy. And a lot of time they do the opposite. What do I mean? Okay, you are a grappler, now you're gonna do only kickboxing. I don't want to see you do grappling. This is like the worst thing you can do, because I want my athlete to win, you know, so I will modify him to win by his best skill, that now it's a grappling. So I think coach-wise, and I'm saying because I know, okay, it's do this mistake. You don't need to be one-rounded, but you need to make you know, go. If you are Daniel Cormier and you got a knockout punch, okay. But also you can lift people in the air and put him down. The worst thing with grappling, you know, grapplers that are in great shape, that sometimes you get lucky and you drop the guy with a knockout power, and then you think every fight is going to happen. It's not going to happen every fight. So I think those modifications are better, and also the jiu-jitsu guys, the top jiu-jitsu guys, they are not coming to MMA anymore. Now the Rutolo brothers kind of went to one, but it's once, think about it before. All the top jiu-jitsu guys used to go to do MMA, you know?
Yeah, I remember.
Like, some of them not that successful, but all of them, you know? Even if you take the last one, the older generation, Jacare and Damien Maya, that Jacare got his almost title shot when he was like 40, that it's ridiculous because the guy was amazing, you know? So think about that. If they promote Jacare, like they promote, I don't know who, what's his name now?
Khamzat?
Even if they promote, what?
Like Khamzat?
Yeah, like Hamzat or someone like that. Just give him the opportunity, you know, and promote you know, they didn't do that. And because the social media, I think you can, if you are very good in jiu-jitsu, you can make money by seminar. So if you don't like really MMA and you don't have passion for it, first of all, don't do it. But like, if we want to pull those jiu-jitsu guys to MMA, there should be a benefit for it. And if the money is not there, and they don't have desire, they are not gonna go for it. Before that, like most of the people that did jiu-jitsu, like I look at my generation, they do gi, no gi, and MMA. A lot of them, not everybody, but the people that were professional in one of them, they usually have like at least experience with MMA. So now, money wise, it's not that great. I'm not talking about UFC level. I'm talking about like local shows and stuff like that. If the money stayed the same like I started like 25 years ago, so something is wrong. That
Something
means
is
that the
wrong.
athlete is not going to make money. And
That's a very good point.
something need to change because everything go up and the money stay the
Absolutely.
same like for the athlete like 25 years ago. And think about it, before, the level of professionalism wasn't like now. So now everything is more professional, so it's harder to be even good in the local arena. So something need to change money wise.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's one thing, and I think which you said, which is smart. I'm just going to elaborate on it. I think a lot of the jiu-jitsu guys, when they decide to go to MMA, they might also not be making the right decisions towards the right coaches. You understand? So I think they might be taking
Yeah.
guys like you said who that don't focus on the right game plan, and then they have a bit of striker's luck, and based upon that, it's like a false positive. That because there is something there, jiu-jitsu. There's no doubt is wonderful art, especially for MMA. It is the base. Everyone says everything, but if you don't have jiu-jitsu, you really are in a bad position there because if you're on the ground, you're done. Very interesting input on that. Now, I want to also talk about something else that I noticed on your social media, which is very cool. You have some really awesome conditioning clips that I saw you do with certain pieces of equipment that you actually, it looks like you made yourself. Just explain to me your thoughts on conditioning, because you have some, I mean, you can lift very heavy, but it's very specific to grappling, it seems, and fighting. What are your thoughts on that? And explain to me your viewpoint.
First of all, you have to explain to me what is social media. You were probably the only guy that saw it.
I am the geek, as everyone says. The geek with Tourette's and grappling, who weighs about the size of a small planet. But I saw you on, I think it was Facebook. You had some kind of contraption. Sorry to use that term. That you were. It's like you could push weights and do squats at the same time, and I think you made it. That was absolutely crazy. Loved it. Tell me about it. What is it?
Okay, so now I have to also compliment my friend and maybe make a small commercial for him because he needed now.
Sure.
So I saw this device in one clip in YouTube, and I saw some kind of someone sell it, and the price was ridiculous. So I have a friend that is. He have a business of welding. He do like welding aluminum and steel and whatever. And now he's in the Israeli reserve, so he's in the army for a long time. And I came with a plan, and we build it. I made the plan. He built it for me. And basically, what it is, it make everything safer. You connect it to the bar when the bar is connected to the ground. So everything you can do with the Olympic bar, all the lift like clean and jerks and much more, you can do in a safe way. Why? Because you don't have this micro of a seconds that the bar is in the air. Because the bar is connected to the floor, and then you got this device that holding the bar. So you can do everything. We have like some kind of device that it's also turn. So you can go from neutralized grip, so it's safer for your elbow, to this. So we created together. We stole the idea from another one. I'm not that much of a genius. And this guy, his name is Jan. He was the Israeli champion in judo a long time ago, and he's a very talented welder. So if you want to buy this product from him, you need to talk to Josh. He will give you the number.
Yeah, I will. And we'll put that down, and we'll also try to get maybe Roy to show on his social media use of it.
My 2 followers, yes.
Which I'm one of them. So,
Yeah.
Roy, we're gonna start to get to end here. I just want to tell the audience, listen, check out Roy's page. It's great. He's got a great club. If you're ever in Tel Aviv, that's the one you want to go to. Definitely the best jiu-jitsu club in Tel Aviv by far. Roy, what do you want to say about yourself? Go ahead. I would love to say the world's listening, but our audience is listening. What do you have to say?
Josh, don't do this for me. I don't have nothing to say.
So I'll say
myself.
I'll
Thank
say
you
it.
for the podcast.
So I'll say, guys, check out Pitbull Jiu-Jitsu Tel Aviv, Roy Newman, RoyNeeman. He's got a great club. If you got to check it out there, come to see him. And listen, until next time, I'll put all his credentials and everything and his accounts in the description to check him out. And Roy, listen, have an excellent day. Thank you very much for the time. And,
Thank you very much, Josh.
Yeah, and listen, guys, until next time, Grapplezilla Podcast. Grab, throw, tap.